Calling the board to order on this Monday, November the 30th. Go ahead, Mrs. Kukla, read the preamble.
Good morning. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble this morning. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law under COVID-19 emergency declaration, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Next slide, please. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comments on a particular matter.
Okay, I'll call to order, please, Liz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Britt? Here. Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Ms. Faith?
Here.
Ms. Barnes will not be joining us this morning. Ms. Johnson?
Yes, here.
Thank
Ms.
you, Madam Chair.
Johnson?
We have a quorum.
Ms. Johnson, may I please make an announcement? If you're not speaking, please mute your microphone. We're getting a lot of feedback and a lot of noises that it's very distracting to those reading and talking. Thank you.
I'd like to make an announcement before we do the postponements and withdrawals. Because there are only 4 members present, you will need 3 affirmative votes for your motion to pass. If it is a 2-2 tie, your motion goes nowhere but out. Okay, thank you very much. Now we have a postponement requested on calendar 20-168 without objection, board. Oh, a postponement for, let's make it December 21st. Without objection, board?
Without objection.
Thank you.
Without objection.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we have a withdrawal on calendar 20-153 at 10933 Superior Avenue. Without objection, board?
Without objection.
Okie dokie.
Without objection.
Thank you. We're going to start with Councilman Casey's.
Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, just before we move on, your instructions as it dealt with the 4 members and the fact that in order for your motion to pass, you would need 3 of the 4
Yes.
to vote positively on that. I think we might also add some direction that if they want to postpone the hearing to see if they can get a full board, they should make that announcement now or before we start to hear the case, not in the middle of the case.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, since you've made the announcement, I will also make the announcement that if you wish to withhold your motion, your order today, we can postpone it till we have 5 members of the board. Otherwise, it's up to the 4 members to decide. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have Councilman Casey had his hand raised.
Yes.
How do I raise my hand?
Madam Chairwoman, if you don't get 3 of the 4 voting members, what happens if somebody abstains from the board?
And they were one of the 3? It's still up to be 3.
You have to have a very strong conflict of interest to abstain from participating.
All right, and then if you don't get 3 of the 4 members to vote, the hearing goes nowhere. What is the process after that? If it doesn't pass the board?
Madam Chair, since I kind of am on the point on this one, I think we've asked the law department to look into what the options are at that point. We've had cases where we've had votes with only 4 board members, and we've had 2 ties. And in those events, when the motion was a positive motion to affirm and grant a variance, when they were rejected with it not getting the 3 votes, it died right there, and they were not allowed to come back with the case.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, we also, go ahead. We also,
This is-
Councilman Jones, sorry.
This is Liz Kukla. It's my understanding, and the way we write the resolution is that technically the case is denied. The denial from, the technical denial from Building and Housing remains unchanged. So that's what the resolution will say, that it's been denied, and the decision of the Building and Housing Department remains unchanged. Is that right, Ms. Wagner?
That is correct.
Is that understanding, Councilman?
And then we had, I believe he said yes. And we have Councilman Jones had his hand raised. And you're muted, sir.
Councilman Jones wanted to speak?
Yes, ma'am.
I was figuring out how to unmute myself. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. The calendar for 20-108-14700 Justin, the proposed project for the gas station. I talked to Mr. Sam Muhammad at the time. We've been talking over the weekend. We had a community meeting on it, and the community is really mixed on the issue, in the respect that they're concerned about the future for asking for and requesting for liquor permits in the future for this gas station outlet. Even though the owner said he's not going to do that, there's still a concern in the neighborhood how we make sure that that doesn't happen if it is built and developed out there. The other issue, unfortunately, is that we have several gas stations in the community right now that are really out of control. So the residents are concerned about drug activity and the hours of operation. We know that the owner wants to operate the gas station, a 24-hour gas station. That's going to be unsettling for a number of residents in the area, and they don't see another gas station as it relates to improving the quality of life. So after talking to Sam Muhammad, I'm not sure if he's on this call, he could probably weigh in, but with the discussion, we talked about just postponing it at this point in time until we could figure out all those issues. And unless the you guys, can we do something in the actual zoning variance here, where we could, so that they would not have a liquor in the future, a liquor permit in the future. I don't know what the legal, could we do that, or is that an option here or not?
Councilman Guillaume.
Is this a request for postponement? What is this?
Yeah, well, it's technically it's a.
Because we're starting to hear a case that's out of order.
Yeah, it is a request for postponement.
I can barely hear. Is it a request for postponement?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't need to get into the depths of the arguments at this point. I think we should just call for the motion from the board, whether or not they want to grant a postponement.
Right.
I'll make the motion. Let's grant the postponement asked for by the council.
I'll second that motion. Call the roll.
Ms. Faith?
Without objection.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
All right.
Do we
And
have-
yes, the date that we can give it is January 11th or January 25th. How much time does the councilman think he needs?
I would probably need in January 25th or the latest you could possibly, because we're still under, unfortunately, due to this COVID virus, it has impacted, our ability to be able to get out there in the neighborhood. So the latest it could be, we would, with the board's deference, it would be helpful for us.
It's on our calendar for January 25th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Now we're back to Councilman Casey's request.
Ms. Kukla, which case number was that for Councilman Jones?
The last one.
20-108 Judson.
Thank you.
14700 Judson Drive. For anyone who is not able to see the screen, it is calendar number 20-108 14700 Judson Drive. That's been postponed to January 25th.
Okay. All right.
Great.
Any more postponements?
Go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Postponed from October 26, 2020, calendar number 20-151 at 11800 Breacher Avenue. Ameritrust Company National Association owner proposes to erect a 50-foot high, 51-foot by 16-foot, two-sided electronic digital billboard in a B2 general industry district. The owner appeals for relief from the application of the strict Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. The first postponement was made at the request of the City Planning Commission to allow for further review. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Tim?
Would everyone for this case, please raise your right hand. I'm going to make a statement. Afterwards, I want a response from anyone wanting to testify of the two simple words I do. Here we go. Do you swear?
Everybody mute your phone unless you're going to be sworn in.
I have my hand, but we'd like to request a postponement at this point. So this is Christopher Maduri, and we'd like to request a postponement because we just don't have, we'd like to have more people on board.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you ask, was there one postponement here already granted? Was
Yes,
there a post?
but the Planning Commission had requested a postponement, Tim, once.
Okay, so this is going to be the appellant's turn. Okay.
Yes, okay. Is January 25th good?
Madam Chair, we could turn it around quicker if you'd like. We could squeeze them on the 21st of December.
You think everybody will be here? Because they're waiting for everybody to be here.
Give them more time.
They need more.
Yeah, because we don't want to be, that's right around Christmas. Yeah.
Exactly. Somebody will be sick or not here.
Okay, Madam Chair, we have the 4th of January or the 11th of January.
11th. How's the 11th?
Is the 21st still an option for us, December 21st, or you're saying we'd be in the same boat?
Well, we're not sure everybody will be here on the 21st because it's the week of Christmas.
Okay, so then January 12th could work for us. My partners are texting me on that.
Okay, about the 11th because we don't meet on the 12th.
Okay, the 11th. And Mr. Casey, does that work for you? Is he on board?
Councilman Casey?
Every opportunity I have to get in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals, I will take.
Thanks, Councilman. Okay,
Thank you, guys.
board without objection for January 11th. Call the roll.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes, without objection.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Postponement is granted.
Okay.
Okay.
Board.
Go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Back to the beginning, I assume, Madam Chair?
That's what I
Yes,
assume.
all the West 37th Streets now.
Very good.
Ms. Faith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Calendar number 20-178 at 2314 West 37th Street. Red Hawk North LLC owner proposes to erect a 20-foot by 41-foot, two-story frame single-family residence and a detached garage in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. We're also hearing case number 20-179 at 2316 West 37th Street. Again, Red Hawk North LLC proposes to erect a single-family house with a detached garage in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner again appeals for relief from the strict ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Tim? Mr. Donovan, unmute.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, here we go. Same old story. Raise your right hand. At the end of my statement, give me the response I do with your name. All right. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. This is Byron Bonamici, representing Red Hawk.
Anyone else? No one.
No one else. Okay.
Not even the city planning.
History of the property, please, Mrs. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning for both of these addresses. It remains in the original zoning from 1929. In the records room, I found only that in 1896, a permit was issued to erect a 1.5-story barn. And in 1974, a permit was issued to demolish a 2-story brick fire station. There are no variances on file, and in the more recent history, we found that in October of this year, a lot split and consolidation plat was applied for at the Engineering and Construction Department. That's all that I have.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wagner? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting area variances from the maximum gross floor area, minimum lot width, and minimum lot regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. Byron, are you one of the owners of Red Hawk?
I have turned in a
A letter that said you could represent them?
yes.
Thank you. Liz, do you have that?
This
Wait a minute. Liz,
Yes, Madam Chair, I believe so.
you have his letter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, one quick item. I did combine both of these West 37th projects on the same presentation.
Okay. I have one more question for Byron. Is the second home the same size? Because it's not listed on my agenda.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Byron.
Okay, so basically we're proposing, we have a large lot that we're combining with the city land bank lot to create a total of 70 feet. And so we've come to an agreement with community development, the neighbor, and city planning is that we get 4 feet of the total width of that lot to the neighbor so they could have a driveway. And then the site plans I'm looking at are actually reversed that I see on the screen here. The driveways are actually going to be on the left-hand side, just so there's no confusion with what was approved through city planning. Because the neighbor's driveway is going to be on the left-hand side of their house, so they wanted all of them to fall on the left. And so our lot sizes are 33 feet across and 4 feet back. So the area of the lot is a little smaller than the standard size that city planning likes. So that's kind of why we have the area variance. The houses are very basic. There's a garage in the back. Just pretty typical. And they've already passed HDRS. And so we were just asking to, we're about 80 feet shy of that area variance. So we were hoping to get that request granted today.
City planning. Is Shannon with us or?
I'm doing it today. Yeah, Madam Chair, Maurice Rowland, City Planning. We support these variances. These are relatively minor variances. The area variances, as he said, they're only 80 feet off. They have rear-loaded garages, which we prefer. And they have been through HDRS, so we fully support these two new construction homes.
Thank you. Any questions, board?
I have an observation and a question.
Go ahead, Jim.
It seems to me, I was looking at these yesterday. I don't know why it takes me 30 years to see something, but this is all about when you do the lot split. Because when you do the lot split and you split it in a way that doesn't conform with the regular lot plat that you're looking for, 40 foot wide, and you start to take 17 feet here and 13 foot there, you end up needing all these different variances. The only other different one that is irrelevant to that is the house size. And people want a bigger house. The other observation I have is we have a recurring mention that city planning has to approve this. Is this something that has been going on, just never put on our ballot, or is this something new?
City planning has to approve what? I'm not quite sure what you're asking.
Isn't the list of variances, the last one refer to city planning approval?
Yeah, that's always on there. I guess because I think you'd have to ask Mr. Riccardi because he is the one that writes these adjudications, but I believe he puts them in there because they are not aware when they write the adjudication of whether it's been before the City Planning Commission. So they just put that in there to make sure that it happens.
Okay, so I guess then if that's the case, then one of the questions we should ask is, has city planning reviewed the case and is there a formal support for moving it forward?
And that's why I said that HDRS, the Housing Design Review Subcommittee, had approved the
So that's the body. That's the body within city planning whose job it is to review and to approve.
Correct.
Okay, I just wondered.
Would you like to make the motion then, Mr. Donovan?
Oh, sure. Granted that the testimony given and due to the aerobatics trying to fit the four houses here in a very tight kind of a plot line, if you will, and accommodating driveways and neighbors, etc., with the full support of the city of Cleveland planning, neighbors, etc., I would move that we would grant the variances requested.
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Ms. Bay?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yep.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Calendars 20-178 and 20-179 are granted. They will be ratified next week and we will send you a letter.
Thank you very much, board members. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Faith. Read these all together.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Next, we'll be hearing calendar number 20-180, 20-181, 20-182, and 20-183, respectively at 5119 Tillman Avenue, 5121 Tillman Avenue, 5201 Tillman Avenue, and 5203 Tillman Avenue. Chamis Properties, LLC owner proposes to construct a new 3-story single-family house with attached garage in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record.
Tim?
Sorry, everyone, for this case, please raise your right hand. I'm going to make the statement, looking for a response of I do at your name. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do, Harper.
Anyone else?
I do, Donald Pettit.
Anyone else? Hearing to be none.
Thank you very much, Mr. Donovan. Miss Liz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The zoning was originally general retail at the enactment of the code in 1929. In 1969, the zoning was changed to two-family residential. There are no records in the records room for these addresses. There are no variances on file, and I didn't find any records either in the more recent history in the Acela system. And that's all that I have.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wagner, the legal standard.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting area variances from the maximum gross floor area, minimum lot width, minimum lot area, and garage regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. Wesley, good morning.
Good morning. How have you been?
We're doing well, thank you. And yourself? You
Doing
have
well, thanks.
Good. You have a letter that says you could represent?
Yeah, I need to forward that to Liz that you have from Mr.
Okay.
Fragatini. Yes.
Okay, okay. Tell us exactly what you'd like to do.
Okay. So, thanks for having me. What we're looking at here is prior to the lot split that was approved months ago. We have two parcels that face Tillman Avenue. Prior to even the lot split that we did a handful of months ago, these two parcels were originally part of a larger parcel that you see as a parking lot directly south of the red outline. So basically, this was an L-shaped parcel that had a Detroit address, even though they faced Tillman Avenue. So when the Tillman parcels were split from the Detroit Avenue parcels, the landmark designation with the Tillman parcels. And so that has kind of, it's been a unique process where we're the only landmark parcels on the street. And so we've been through the landmarks process, which is a little bit different than the typical HDRS or Near West design review. So we've been working with Don Pettit and and Carl over at Landmarks, as well as the local, I believe, Gordon Square Landmark Design Review Committee, as well as Councilman Zone. And so the only review that we have not date this project is the second and final design approval from the full City Landmarks Commission. So next page, please. So here is some context views here. We're looking west down Tillman. Our parcel that is currently vacant is on the left side, just past the wooden fence you see to the left. Next. Here we're looking east on Tillman. Our lot is to the right behind the bush. And so here our site plan is showing our intention to divide these up into 4 parcels with a common center driveway down the middle to serve as the vehicular access to the 2-car garages in the rear of each new home. Each parcel on the outside of the development are 23 feet, and then the ones in the middle are 27. What we're proposing are 17 foot wide by roughly 54 feet deep homes. with the 15% lot depth serving as the front yard setback. In the rear, we have the drive, 2-car garages, a little bit of yard, and then various plantings. So the variances that we're looking to get for each individual house are somewhat typical to the list of variances that we would normally get in this near west side context. Next. So here is a view of the Tillman phase facades. They are 2 stories in the front, and then in the rear there is a roof access, as we call it. But their frontage is 2 stories to fit into the scale and height of the surrounding homes. There are front porches on each home, and the materials are horizontally oriented cement board to kind of match the scale and at least visual dimension of the cladding and the rest of the homes in the area. Next. Floor plans, if you'd like to talk about those are here. Next. Again, the fronts of these homes are 2 stories, so the top is roughly 26'8" at the front, and then in the rear they jump up to 32'8", just in that area that has the roof access structure. Next. And then here is the image of the homes in relation to the existing home to the west, and then there is an existing used car lot to the east. The outline of the structure you see to the left is set back quite a bit from Tillman and obscured by vegetation. But it is basically this lot. Material palette, if you have any questions on that. But I think with this, you know, open to comments, but this, again, we've met with Councilman Zone on this, and he's been supportive of the fact that we're doing single family homes here. So we asked for comments on the variances and hopefully approve. Thank you.
Liz, do we have any support letters or objection letters?
No, we don't have either.
Okay. So we didn't hear from Matt Zone either.
No.
Okay. Board questions, comments?
Madam Chair, I believe we have I believe this is a landmarks district, so I believe they have reviewed this.
Donald was sworn in, right?
Donald is here with us.
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. This was reviewed by the Landmarks Commission on October 22nd. As Mr. Harper indicated, this was approved by the Gordon Square Design Review Committee. It still has to go back to the commission, and we'll see it next week on December 10th. The reaction from the commission is very positive. We think the project is very contextual, although contemporary as it should be. They have to return with restudy of the cornice, some of the porch details, but overall we support the project and we have no objection to the variances.
Thank you, Donald. Board questions?
I think one of the variances asked for some kind of a, did that one of the variances ask for some kind of a delineation of how the cars get off of the entry roadway into the garage or something? I don't have the language in front of me, but.
Madam Chair, actually, Mr. Riccardi would probably be the best person to speak to this, but from how it was explained to me is they will need an easement agreement, I believe. And that's why that was written up that way, but we could check with Rick Riccardi, which I'm sure Mr. Harper's probably got.
Wes Harper here. Yeah, this is standard for multiple projects that we have. They have this kind of shared drive. So with our permit submission, we would have that language built into both the the new site plan, surveyed site plan, and then also if the city wants to have on record the kind of the legal documentation, we can have that as well.
Does are the garage structures at the very, very, very rear of the building structure?
No, they are in fact detached.
They're attached.
They're detached.
Detached.
Correct.
Okay. So what we would have probably seen in another era would have been the 4 garages with access off of Tillman, right?
Correct. And we would have had 4 curb cuts. And actually probably would only be able to do 3 houses at that point.
Okay.
So the entrance into the garages is from what I'm looking at is the rear.
Yes, they would be from the rear. Let's say the garage doors would be facing south. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Facing south.
Any other questions, board?
So the gray area, is that grass then, or?
The gray area is concrete.
Concrete.
That's the light.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Ms. Faith.
Question to Mr. Harper. What's the buffer going to be between the motor court parking and the parking lot to the rear? Sorry, my dog is barking.
That's okay. There's an existing fence along the used car lot property line, and then towards the rear, there's nothing there currently. The developer.
Go ahead.
At this point, there is no proposed fence along the rear property line.
And what about landscaping? Are we going to do any trees back there or anything?
Yeah, if we could go back to the site plan, we have here we have shown a street tree on the tree lawn at each, or in the, and then planting beds flanking the porches with hydrangea tree at each parcel, and then there'd be Pachysandra ground cover in those. Buyers will eventually do their own landscaping in addition to that, but we're just trying to set a nice little palette for them in the beginning.
Sure, but what about at the rear, behind the motor court, between that and the parking lot on the parcel behind?
Yeah, they're proposed at this juncture.
Okay. Is there space to do some arborvitae or something like that to sort of block the view?
We're pretty maxed out at this point in terms of our dimensions. We have right now a 12-foot deep rear yard between the garage and the home, which we've done other projects with a similar size, quote unquote, back. It is utilized well, but I think taking any square footage out of that space would negatively impact that space. So at this point, we really don't have much leftover space to put landscaping along the edge.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. Given the testimony that we've had, I think it's encouraging to see that the parcel is only going to be utilizing 1 curb cut, as Mr. Harper pointed out. Previously it would have been 3 curb cuts, and I think Mr. Donovan touched on the point that's also positive, is that in previous days, these would be rear-loading garages that would have loaded off of an alley. So this is sort of reminiscent of that sort of approach to the garage. The project still needs approval from Landmark, so I think, you know, it might be prudent for us to make it conditional that we go ahead and approve this with, you know, pending approval from Landmarks. Is there a discussion of that by any of the board members?
And a support letter from Jenny Spencer, the new council person for that area.
Right, right. So with those two caveats, I move that we go ahead and approve these variances.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Call the roll.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
That's not Miss Britt.
That was a little different voice.
Yeah. I mean, mine is deep, but not that deep. Yes.
Ms. Faith? Ms. Faith?
Yes, sorry.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Calendars 20-180 through 20-183 are granted. We will hold them pending the approval from Landmarks Commission and a letter from Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Ms. Faith, you want me to read the next one? Is Puppy bothering you?
No, I think I've got her under control.
Okay,
Sorry
go
about
right.
that.
That's all right. Go right ahead.
Calendar number 20-184 at 7427 Detroit Avenue. Travis Peebles, Blazing Saddles Property Inc. or LLC, owner, and Olive Inc. LLC, tenant, proposed to establish tattooing use in a K3 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record.
Everyone for this case who wants to testify, please raise your right hand. You know the drill. Here we go. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Name?
Stacy McKinley.
Any else?
I do. Adam Davenport.
Anyone else?
I do. Travis Peebles, Blazing Saddle Properties.
And it looks like we have Brian, but you were muted.
Brian Osworth. Thank you.
Sure. I think that's it. I think that's it, Mr. Donovan.
Move it on.
History of the property, please, Mrs. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In the records, in 2011, it was changed to local retail business and placed in a pedestrian retail overlay district. In the records from I found, a permit was issued in 1899 to establish use as a store. In 1911, a permit was issued for an addition, an alteration, and repairs. 1966, a permit was issued for a double-faced sign over the public right-of-way. There are no variances on file and nothing of note in the more recent history.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wagner, the legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. The owner of the property is Travis? Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell us exactly what you'd like to do on this.
The upstairs portion of our property, we're proposing that the upstairs has been repurposed from what it was originally when we bought it, which was actually 2 living spaces. The space has relatively just been opened up, and we're proposing that Ms. Roel, who is here with me, open up a tattoo shop in that space.
Let's hear from her.
Hi, I'm Natalie. Yes.
And Natalie, what's your last name?
Yes, I'm Natalie Roel. I'm sorry,
Okay.
you can hear me.
Okay.
I'm currently an owner of a tattoo shop that I'm planning on leaving, and I would like to open a new establishment in the 2nd floor of this building.
Okay. Hours, days of the week, something?
Proposed hours would be Tuesdays through Saturdays, say noon to 7.
Okay, closed Sunday and Monday?
Yes.
Okay. Others have been sworn in. Adam, I see you on the picture, so let me hear from you first.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. This is kind of the same case as a couple weeks before. We saw a tattoo shop on the other end of the Gordon Square Arts District, in a similar kind of format and building. That one was in a Detroit Troy owned property. This one is on the western end of the district. Travis and his team have owned Blazing Saddles for a long time. I wish there was some before photos from the property when he first took it over, because he's substantially improved it to what it is today, in a nice looking building. I think it's much the case that we had 2 weeks ago, where there's sufficient on-street parking. Clients are coming and going at a regular clip, and this won't cause any adverse effects to, parking situations around there. And really, it only kind of enhances the district further down to have one more business above a long time existing business over there. So we're happy to support this.
Thank you, Adam. But there's somebody else sworn in on this case?
We had Brian had also been sworn in.
Yeah, I'm just helping Natalie with the securing of the zoning. But one thing is, about probably 10 weeks ago, we met with Matt Zone prior to him retiring from being a councilman, and he was very much in favour of the tattoo parlour going in there.
Do you have to go through the first floor to get upstairs? There's no separate entrance, is there?
Yes, ma'am. The photograph we're looking at now, we were looking at the front of the building. There is currently a wooden gate, one half door to the west on Detroit Avenue. That's going to be replaced with a metal gate, and there is a side door entrance. You can kind of see it on our flooring.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And the building, the storefront along the sidewalk, and there will be 2 gooseneck lights placed around the building so that there's sufficient lighting in the alleyway all around the storefront. It's not currently up yet. We're waiting on a few back ordered lights, but those are a few things that will be done to add to the entryway of the upstairs space.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody else sworn in?
Stacy McKinley, co-counsel with Brian Asquith. We're just here to provide support. With the intention of letting Natalie and Travis and Adam talk about what their intent is for the building.
So is it that gray wooden thing that's going to be taken down, and that side entrance will be right there?
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
Okay, good. Board, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'm just interested to know about signing for her business.
Well, that is not something that we haven't crossed that bridge. We know there will probably be a variance or some permitting required. We haven't really chosen, since there hasn't been a specific marketing logo decal chosen yet. We haven't really decided how we're going to go about signage. I guess we're still waiting to cross that bridge.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Maurice, City of Cleveland Planning?
I believe Mr. Davenport already expressed his
Okay,
support,
nobody wants
and
to- then I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, giving the testimony and support from city planning as well as outgoing Councilman Zone, I move that we approve the variances for calendar number 20-184.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yep.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Calendar 20-184 is granted. We will ratify it next week and send you a letter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Faith, go right ahead.
Thank you. Moving right along, Madam Chair. Calendar number 20-185 at 1380 East 32nd Street. City of Cleveland owner proposes to renovate existing recreation center, including a 5,300 square foot addition and a reduction of accessory off-street parking lot to 14 spaces in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tim.
Everyone for this case, raise your right hand.
Looks like we have Mark Dulick.
Ready? I'm going to do this. Give me back I do with your name. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Mike Sterling.
I do. Mark Dulick. I do. Carter Edmond.
I do. Steve Jurelis.
Anyone else? Looks like there is no one else.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Ms. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property in 1929 was originally zoned semi-industry. In 1941, it was changed to multifamily, and in 1957, it was changed to two-family. The records from I found a permit was issued in 1953 to erect a one-story brick and block building and swimming pool. In 1971, a permit was issued to erect a one-story brick and block recreation building. And Madam Chair, there is one variance on file in calendar 81-83 in 1981. A variance was granted to erect an addition and enclose the swimming pool. And in the more recent history, I only found that in 2019, a permit was issued to re-roof the property. And that's all that I have.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, Colin is requesting an area variance from the off-street parking regulations of the zoning code and permission to expand a recreation center in a two-family district. Considering the area variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Section 3 through 702G of the zoning code provides that the board may approve a recreation center in a two-family district if, after public notice and public hearing, the board determines there are adequate yard spaces and other safeguards to preserve the character of the neighborhood, and that such design and uses will meet a community need without adversely affecting the neighborhood.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wagner. Who's going to be the spokesperson for the city of Cleveland?
So this is Carter Edmond. I'm the manager of architecture and site development. I'd just like to give some introductory contextual comments, and then I'll turn it over to Mark Dulick and our consultant architects.
Okay.
In 2018, the Division of Architecture and Site Development began an undertaking of comprehensive facility assessments for recreation centers, leading to a long-range capital improvement plan. The goal of that was a couple of different levels of intervention, some being simply physical maintenance of the building, like the re-roofing project that was mentioned, but also enhancing the functionality, usability, making the facilities more community-friendly, more up to contemporary standards of a facility that's welcoming and provides the kind of services that have really evolved since the days when it was merely a gym and a covered pool. Sterling Recreation Center is the first group of within the first group of such recreation centers to have this kind of comprehensive improvement. And we feel that there's a tremendous potential in this growing neighborhood and at this rec center, which is the closest rec center we have to downtown, for a transformative facade and also just the way the building is used and the services that it provides to the community. So we're very excited about the transformation here. This has been through neighborhood design review, and we look forward to presenting what we're proposing here. With that, I'll turn it over to Mark, who will get into more details, and to our consultant design team.
I have a question, though, for you, Carter. Can you stay 1 minute?
Oh, yeah, I'll stay on.
Oh, okay. The fact that you have cut down the parking spaces, correct?
That's right.
Well, it said that we can't do this.
We well, that's why we're looking for a variance for that. That actually came up that arose from discussions of with the Neighborhood Design Review Committee. We felt that was a good recommendation for the site as a whole, which we'll get into, given how it affects the site, the availability of on-street parking, and also the fact that a lot of people come to this recreation center either on foot or on bicycles and so forth. So we'll get into more detail about why we are proposing that.
Okay. Let me talk to Mark now.
Thank you, Carter. Thank you, everyone. It's good to be here, and we really appreciate this hearing. As Carter mentioned, this is part of a larger endeavor, but the key one for this one is it is one of our smaller centers, and so one of the things I want to talk about is we are enhancing the programming as part of this. What we are doing as far as the related to the open space and yard, there are two things. Well, three really. One is if you know the building at all, I don't know what images we have here.
Do we have a picture now, Maurice?
Yeah, if we have a picture. This is a good thing showing what the existing conditions are. Right now, the spaces, we don't have enough space in the building to accommodate the kind of uses we need. We need a better fitness center. We need a computer room. We need a weight room, and we need an art room, and we need a community room. Most importantly, as you know, this is a very diverse and dense community. And when you see the building now, if you're familiar with it at all, you really don't necessarily even know it's a rec center, let alone where to enter the building. So there's an image problem, an identity problem, and there's a programming problem. Our goal is, and it's also very dark inside, so our goal is to really completely change the image and perception of the building. And because it is offset between two alleys, behind both St. Clair and Superior, we really want to let people know that the building is there. So the biggest idea is to really create an entrance that you can actually see instead of one that's completely recessed behind the existing multi-purpose room and the swimming pool. It's really it has a bit of a mausoleum kind of quality. So we'd really like to overcome that. There's been substantial investment in the playground, and that gets a lot of use and has a lot of value. And the other component on this site is the ball field. Now, this is one of the few ball fields really close to this neighborhood, and it gets a pretty good amount of use in general for everything from softball to kickball to Little League. But there's a user group in particular that has made this their home, and that is the beep ball, the Cleveland Scrappers. These are people who are visually impaired that are actually able to play baseball using a ball that beeps. And they actually have these totems that are at the baselines where they can run towards that. So it's a very well-established league. They actually did receive a Cleveland Foundation grant for some equipment and for some field enhancements here. Unfortunately, the way it's configured right now, particularly because of the parking situation on the existing plan, is the right field line is not to regulation. In fact, they really couldn't host actual tournaments with other beep ball teams in the area. So one of our goals was to make this a real regulation beep ball field, which we couldn't do with the existing parking and amount of parking. The other thing we wanted to do was really create additions that not only created space, but really gave a sense of flow to better enhance the flow through the site when you come down on Sonora Avenue from the neighborhood to the west, come around that front, and also to make an environment that was conducive for the mobility of people who are visually impaired, so that we would create the south entrance that gives access to bathrooms and stuff during baseball games and whatnot. But that really draws you around coming from that direction. But along West 32nd Street, the idea was to create this entrance and frame it with the other building additions, and to use these curved walls to tie it more into the landscape, create landscape along West 32nd that really frames and features what's the new entrance. And wanting to make that new entrance that community room that would also have its own separate entrance for different community functions even when the center was closed. At the request of the Neighbor Design Review Committee that approved our project, they wanted a landscape strip along West 32nd between the parking and the existing wall to remain. So we did accommodate that comment, which further reduced the amount of parking. We wanted to create the accessible spaces there and to have a single curb cut. A lot of what we were doing was based on the idea that there's quite a substantial amount of on-street parking, as well as what Carter mentioned in terms of pedestrians, bicycles, and this really being one of our walk-to centers. And the whole idea was to create this lively streetscape and create a better connection from both the east and the west. And that at the end of the access of the continuation of Sonora Avenue is where the main entrance is, pretty much where the existing one is. But this community room addition is really about taking what's a very inward recessive building along with the other additions and turning it into something that reaches out to the neighborhood, that has a presence on the street where you don't have to wonder where to go in, and that actually has a combination of solid and void and glass, so that whichever way you're coming, you can actually see into the center and see activities going on and see light and color and people for the first time.
Wow.
I think when we
and this is the elevations. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I think we should keep going through some of the images so people can get familiar with kind of how we did the massing. Did we have any of the 3D images there, Mike Sterling?
I do not have any 3D images for this project.
I did email some in.
Yeah, I don't have them.
Okay. Well, I guess I've just asked the committee if those would be helpful, or are the materials as presented for zoning adequate?
Did the councilman, Bashir Jones, log into any of this? Hello? Any of the meetings with the neighbors? Anything? Any comments from him?
We had the Neighborhood Design Review Committee hearing at which the comments were made, and it was approved with those conditions, which was the addition of the landscape there.
It did not include the councilman?
I don't think he attended that meeting or comments.
I don't want to hear from him later that he was not invited. Was he invited to and just didn't make the meeting?
Yes, as far as we know.
He was invited. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know who all the NDRC invited, but I believe that they have standing invitations to the council members for their areas that they serve.
Mrs. Kukla, did we hear from anybody? Yes or no?
No, Madam Chair, we didn't receive any supportive or negative emails or letters. Also, just for your information, the council person is on my agenda list that I email out, as well as he receives a hard copy of the notice in his mailbox.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Maurice, City of Cleveland, City of Cleveland Planning, hello.
Yeah, Maurice Rowland, City Planning. Yeah, this is a great project. You know, if you're looking at the variances here, number one, it's an existing rec center that's being expanded. It will definitely not adversely affect the neighborhood. This is a real positive contribution to the neighborhood, something that's been needed for a long time over here. And I have to agree with the gentleman about the parking situation there. Having been out there when I was taking the pictures, there is ample off-street parking to make up for the difference of the parking that they're eliminating. It is also probably an area that is very heavily used and accessed from pedestrians and bicyclists. So we are very much in support of this project. And as was also highlighted, that it did go through the local design review process.
Good, thank you very much. Any other questions, board? I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'm interested to know, since this is probably going to be heavily relied on for bicycles, where are the bicycle racks on the plan?
That's correct. If you go to the larger floor plan, it hopefully will show up on there. We have a plaza that we're creating just outside the main entrance, and there's just jump back. Sorry.
Is this the correct one, or do you want me to go forward?
No, the large plan.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Right by the main entrance on the bottom of the page, you'll see some diagonal lines, and I apologize. They were in the renderings that I thought I emailed.
Would that be right here where I'm highlighting with the red dot?
No.
Yes. So we have a number of bike parking spaces there. There's some existing ones in the playground as well. In general, we are increasing the number of bike spots compared to what's existing. I think there's, from my count, there were 19 there. We're planning for 22 total.
And will the bike parking include bike maintenance? Is it going to have an air pump and a rack in case anyone needs to make a minor repair while they're there?
We had not included that at this time.
But it could be included.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
I think given the nature of the building and its usage, and I do anticipate it's probably going to be highly used by bikes. It would be a nice feature, that they have an air pump and a light repair rack there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm excited about the expansion of the ball field so that the beat ball team can hopefully have tournaments in the future. I think that is an excellent asset for our unsighted community. So that's excellent. With that, Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the variances for this project. Are there any other discussion on that from the board?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So I motion that we approve the variances given the input from city planning, and that the project has already been through the neighborhood design review committee, and the project has made alterations to the plan based on that feedback. So I move that we go ahead and approve the variances.
Second, call the roll.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan? Mr. Donovan?
Yes, and Peter Van Dyke was a regular user of this pool. And for those that don't know, he was a master swimmer, and he won a lot of events all the way toward the end of his life.
Thanks, Tim.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Calendar 20-185 is granted. We will ratify this next week and send you a letter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stay well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, business. 1 through 4 without objection.
Without objection.
Without objection.
Without objection.
Okay, and then my comment to you, Liz, is I see that you very graciously have sent reminders to several people. What was the date that they had to respond to you by?
So I gave them another 30 days, and I think we've had, we might be getting close to that. I think we sent them 3 weeks ago. I don't have the files here, so I can get that information to you next week or via email this week.
That's fine. Yes, I would like to know, because enough is enough. Then we can get it off our calendar.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We also need an affirmation on 4247 Lorraine Avenue. They're having a tough time due to the pandemic to get their permitting done. And probably nobody's in the office. Okay, without objection, board?
Without objection.
Without objection.
Okay, and no word on when the director would like us to stay online with him? Liz?
Oh, he actually wanted to do it this week. I don't think he's logged in. Let me check with him.
Well, we need time to know that we have to put it aside.
Right. Okay. I think he wanted to squeeze it in, and then I guess I didn't hear anything again from him later. So I guess we will try again next week, and I'll let you know and confirm it with him.
Okay. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great week. Kelly, enjoy your birthday.
Thank you very much.
Yes, happy birthday.
And stay well.
Stay
well, everybody. See you in a week.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Carol, was there any other, I thought